哦，写的吧，哦，哇嘞，哦，写的吧，哦，哇嘞，哦，写的吧，哦，哇嘞，俺的ser haft en tålig.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Monday in Mailbox, where you can ask me anything For Honor related, and I will give my opinion on it. First question that comes in, do you believe the Highlander receiver reworks soon after Sync gets his? Also, what are your thoughts on Warlord? Maybe it'd be a bit overtuned or too good in relation to how underwhelming the rest of the cast is. So we'll break that up. Do you believe the Highlander will get receiver rework? As much as I want Highlander to get a rework, I don't think he's going to get it anytime soon. There are other heroes that really need it. Highlander can be played, and can be played well, and unfortunately, even though the character is really hard to work with, that's the situation. Highlander hits really hard, and he has some good mix-ups, and he can deal with some things, and unfortunately, even though he's difficult to play as and really master, it's not as hard to use like Nobushi, for example. In short, no, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think it will happen, but I think he's kind of on the back burner for that. What are your thoughts on Warlord? I can sum up pretty much all my feelings about Warlord in one statement. I think Warlord is a really good character. I don't think he's overpowered. What I think is that Warlord doesn't have any downsides. It's not that he's particularly strong in any area. He's just pretty good in all the areas. He has pretty good pressure. His chains provide decent mix-ups. He can't just be blocked and turtled to oblivion. He has a good option select. His full guard's okay. His headbutt is pretty good, hard to react to, but punishable. So there's nothing that's outrightly broken. It's just that he's pretty good in all the areas. We're used to heroes that have faults. Highlander's too slow. Nobushi's very reactable. That kind of stuff. Regardless of like the strengths they have, we're used to characters having a bunch of faults, except Blackprior. But Blackprior is broken in those areas, while Warlord is he's punishable. You can beat him. You just have to really be on top of your game. In general, I don't think he's overtuned. I really am thinking he's just like the jack of all trades and pretty good in all those trades. Next question reads, do you think the Knights are the strongest faction of characters? Yes, absolutely. There are some outliers. So obviously, the one that stands out is Scent and Peacekeeper. I think those are the weakest of the cast. You have Lawbringer, who's incredibly strong and has great punishes and a good shove option select kind of thing. You have Warden, who's S tier because of his bash, and it provides a good mix-up, kind of like Warden. Conqueror has really safe option selects, and his defense is really good on top of having a bash. Gladiator's really annoying to fight. In general, he's got a good zone attack, his footstep's not punishable by most of the cast. His mix-up's okay, his out of stamina pressure's really good, that kind of stuff. Blackprior? You know how I feel about Blackprior. He's my least favorite character. I don't like him. I think he's too safe. He's got kind of everything going for him. I can't think of one thing that he does not do really well in, and I can't think of a character that beats Blackprior in any matchup. I think characters can counter mess with him, like they have mix-ups that can mess with Blackprior. I can't think of one character that shuts down Blackprior. Not in the same context that Berserker shuts down Highlander because of all the things that Berserker can do. It's not like that for Blackprior. He doesn't have that kind of issue. So in short, yeah, absolutely. Definitely the strongest faction of heroes. Third question reads, what are your thoughts on hyper armor on certain characters that may seem undeserving, or some that are deserving? What characters don't need hyper armor? I feel like we're in a decent place. Hyper armor is a weird thing because you want there to be trades. Some characters, you think like, oh, that's a super annoying character. Why would they have hyper armor on that? But if you took away the hyper armor, they would immediately be less viable because they need that to be able to trade. Berserker is a great example of that. Berserker's made of hyper armor in his chains. And I know there's a lot of people that think about his feint into light, why does that have hyper armor on it? If you're familiar with option select, or dodge attacks, or anything like that, or crushing counter strikes, you really need that hyper armor to be able to deal with that kind of stuff. And he's a character that's designed to be offensive and made to keep going and going until his stamina runs out, of course. And if you took the hyper armor away, they'd be able to do all sorts of weird option selects to him, and he would have to rely on his heavy in the heavies instead of heavy in the light. It's very important for that. I think that's something to think about with that. I can't think of anyone that has it that doesn't deserve it. I want to say like Shigoki's opening light shouldn't have it, but unfortunately Shigoki's not a very good character. So his ability to instantly trade and defend himself is really, really useful because the Demon Embraces, you can just roll from it. There's nothing a Shigoki can do if you can just roll. Until they fix that, his Hyper Armor Lights has got to stay. But then again, that is just my 2 cents. So the last question is, I'm not trying to complain or anything, but why is it exactly that most consider Jean-Hu trash? I've heard many say he is, yet never a solid reason as to why, and I've yet to realize it on my own. So as you know, I love Jean-Hu. I play him pretty consistently, just not as much as I used to. I got him to Rep 15, and I really enjoy him. On paper, he looks great. Looks like he'll have a bunch of mix-ups, and it'll be hard to like really pin him down and and like parry him. The issue comes with the fact that by playing Jean-Hu, you're really betting on your opponent being aggressive, because he's a counterattacker. And it's unfortunate that he's like that. As a counterattacker, you have to wait for your opponent to play your game. In 4th, that's not as huge of a deal. In 4th, Jean-Hu, I hear, is quite fine, and has some stuff for anti-gank, and has some stuff to help out his teammates, and has good mid-clear, and that kind of stuff. That's not a huge deal. But when you get into duels, things get very, very muddy very quickly. You don't have a way to break a turtle. Your unblockable lights, only 600 MS. Well, one of the issues with that is you're stuck with this one side, because your top and right heavy finisher, they don't track at all. Doesn't matter forward, back, left, right, doesn't matter. They just won't track. So you're stuck with this left side, which has phenomenal tracking in every direction. Even hits behind them. With your unblockable heavy only having to come from your left, if you throw any other side, there's no point. Why would you? So you're kind of stuck throwing only finishers on that side, because if it's any other side, your opponent knows it's either going to be a feint, or it's going to be a unblockable light. It's the unfortunate part about it. Some other issues, like his dodge attacks are okay. They don't have great iframes on them, and they only hit for 14 damage, and it's not that crazy of a mix-up. If you get hit by it, oh no, 14 damage. It's less than his life, his normal life. It's not hard to make a read. If you see them dodge and see any indicator as they're doing it, you can parry it. There are plenty of people who can do it. It's not terribly difficult. His zone attack's very, very reactable, and his deflect is really just for show. It doesn't guarantee anything. It's just a way to incorporate a mix-up. On the plus side, at least it's a safe deflect if you miss your timing. If you miss your timing, you either dodge it or block it. Not a huge deal. In general, Jean-Hu's just not very great in duels. In 4s and 2s especially, I think he's quite good. In duels, it's just a bit harder. You have to be a little bit more turtley, and it's unfortunate because we're trying to get rid of the defense meta, and that's just not something we can do with the character right now. What I want them to change is to make it so at least his right heavy finisher will track as good as his left, so you have these two sides to work with instead of just one. That's just my 2 cents. Anyways, thank you guys for coming for the first ever Monday Mailbox. I'll be doing this every week, so type down below any questions you want. I will also have a tab in my Discord specifically for this. Either way you want to type out your questions, I only choose a handful of them, but you know what to do. Anyways, much love. Guard out. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. I invite you to join my Discord, links in the description. If you want to help support the channel, donation and Patreon links are down below. Much love, guard out.